Go back, the reason why we don't bury vinifera vines very much, because I know in Prince Edward County that's what they do a lot, so I want to talk about the comparison. I just find that I've talked about the age of the vines, and I know in Prince Edward County the vines are a little bit younger, and I really hope that they can, as their vines get bigger and more vigorous, that they'll still be able to bury and keep it in a sort of cost-effective way. But I was noticing a lot that on the vinifera that you'd lose a lot of your buds. You might have enough to get a little bit of a crop, but our philosophy here is as a producer, you want to have the crop that you want. Okay, sometimes you can go too much and sometimes you'll have too little, but what you want is you want to get to the point where at least you're making a decision. Otherwise you're kind of feeling you're a victim of your environment, of your winters, and it's not a fun way to be as a grape grower. You want to sort of say, yeah, I can do that and I know how to sort of get around. It might cost that much, but at least I have the choice. So that's why we stopped bearing, because there were grapes, but I mean, you weren't coming up to, in my opinion, profitable levels. I mean, it all depends on what price point your wines are at, but at a certain point, you have to get crop, because crop balances the vines. I mean, it's not always low crop equaling great quality. When we were at low crops, they were, shaded, full of botrytis, and it just was not quality at all. We're organic too, and I just wanted to add a little extra thing is, since we've gone into Scott Henry, we don't lose. I won't say never lose anything, but we very, very rarely lose, crop to botrytis. However, before, when we had low canes close to the ground with a fairly big trellis, trying to get as much foliar surface area as possible for photosynthesis, the grapes were just not happy down there, and they were always rotting. And so now when the vine's way up high, it works really well. Before we went into Scott Henry, I was working with an employee, and we were thinking about, before we did this whole change, there's so many factors we were thinking about. We knew it was going to be a lot of work, so we were thinking about a lot of things. And I remember being in the vineyard in July, and we'd lie down on the ground, sort of where the grapes were at that point, and there was no airflow. And we'd just get up on our knees, sort of and so our head was sort of at about 1 meter high, so that's where the grapes were going to be. And there was airflow. So I mean, it was clear to us that that it was good, all that was going to work, because we were still asking that question. Is it going to work? We're going to change the whole pruning, do all this, and is it going to be crazy or not? But there's so many factors that were important, and that one was one, just botrytis. Because I have to admit that 2005, before we changed, we were in organic growing. We were like, oh my God, what are we going to do about this botrytis? It was a real problem.